my name is Mama Aisyah bin Manazir. My metric number 255512. Okay, today I want to talk about the introduction based on the scenario where our group take for the scenario 2, which is the scenario can relate to the theory first negotiation story, where the scenario said the Mr. Griff, which is who are the English Thai background, he had lived and worked at the Hello Company in Liverpool more than 7 years. Unfortunately, he had to move to Zhangzhou, China, to continue with her work. So from there, we know, we can learn, and we can find the problem where the Mr. Griff cannot understand anything about culture, the lifestyle, the thinking of the Chinese style. So from there, this come a problem for Mr. Griff, where he difficult to understand and adapt to the culture, and not learning and understanding for their culture beforehand. So that he only depend on the translator or interpretation for any meetings. So based on the story, we can know this situation can be related to the first negotiation theory, where the first negotiation are stemmed by the Stella Ting Tome in 1985, where the Stella not certified with her mainstream interpersonal conflict communication literature in 1980. So from that, the theory related to the scenario to tell about the first negotiation theory.
Hi, my name is Norwani binti India. My metric number 255583. I will talk about concept. Concepts are mental representations, abstract objects or abilities that make up the fundamental building blocks of thoughts and beliefs. Based on 7 communications concepts, cultural influence is one that relates to this scenario because Mr. Griffith had a cultural shock as he was pulled out from his usual English way of living and thinking and driven to Chinese environment wholly unknown and unsure for him. Based on Mr. Griffith's situation, we can identify that the first negotiation theory is related to this situation and concept because the cultural differences in the society shape the response to the conflict in different society. In this situation, it shows that Mr. Griffith is a collectivistic culture because he is responsible for providing trade exchange to himself for the company's mission without even knowing a single word of Chinese. So, Mr. Griffith tried to learn Chinese so he can understand the Chinese culture. Last but not least, Mr. Griffith's situation is mutual phase concept where is Mr. Griffith concerned with Chinese culture, so he tried to learn Chinese.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Alina Mastura binti Mahdi, metric number 247184. Today I'm going to explain about the assumption and the ideas of the phase negotiation theory based on our scenario 2. Okay. There are 7 core assumptions for this theory, which is phase negotiation theory. So I would like to tell 1 instead of the 7. Okay. The main assumption that I'm going to tell is there are different people who handles different problems in different ways. So, as in the scenario, Mr. Griffith had lived an English lifestyle life. So, he had to move to China for his business, to pursue his business. So, he had a culture shock because they had English and China have different cultures, which China people doesn't do faces when they are talking. Meanwhile, Mr. Griffith does do faces when they are talking. So they had a clash, and then China people got mad, and he made mistake. So based on face negotiation theory, these are some factors that may cause someone to face a face negotiation problem. So first is concern over self-face and others' faces. And it is important to understand the significance of face for an individual and how important it is to maintain a face, which in turn will reflect on the others. Besides, culture defines what kind of personality is.
My name is A182 My metric number is 254598. So I will proceed on relevance of theory. Based on Mr. Griffith's situation, we can identify that the most relevant theory is face negotiation theory. Face negotiation theory is developed by Stella Tintomi, which is explain the culture-based and situational factor that shape communicator tendency in approaching and managing conflicts. It also helps to explain cultural differences in response to conflict. The meaning of face is generally conceptualized as how we want others to see us and treat us, and how we actually treat others in association with their social self-conception expectations.
So, for the conclusion, face negotiation theory addresses intercultural communications on cultural, individuals, and interrelational levels. Individualistic and collectivistic cultures will have different methods of maintaining, face, and resolving conflicts. What comes naturally to people from one culture may not seem an appropriate communication style to individuals from another culture. Regardless, analysis spins around the legitimate consistency of the hypothesis. Exactly. Face negotiation theory is in a general sense dependent on the varying view of individualistic and collectivist society. Notwithstanding, concerns demonstrate that this social measurement may not completely clarify the apparent contrast. Additionally, the hypothesis' dependence on amiability structure might be as well general to catch the face concerns as if they are not recognized by the scientists. In this way, the hypothesis application and combination of respectfulness research may warrant further reflection and thought. In this scenario, it shows that Mr. Griffiths had a culture shock as he was pulled out from his usual English. We can conclude that Mr. Griffiths' situation is usual face concern, whereas Mr. Griffiths concerned with Chinese culture, so he tried to learn Chinese. The lower power distance is the reliable with Mr. Griffiths' situation because he really knew how to create a strong friendship bond with his Chinese co-worker, and he tried to understand Chinese language. It is obvious that face negotiation theory is used in this scenario because Mr. Griffith is not so familiar with culture that come from Chinese, so he need try to learn and try to understand what it is mean when some Chinese try to speak with him. Thank you.